Hi everyone, today let's talk about VIX correlation, as well as the earnings data. Then we'll take a look at how we finished up for the week, looking at max pain. Then we'll take a quick look at the charts, as well as my results for the day and my thoughts going into the Monday session. If you like trading stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. I make videos like this every single day that the markets are open, as well as Sundays, so make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. So the market is currently fearless, but that doesn't mean that we're going to go lower immediately. We're definitely seeing a little bit of a downturn, but as you can see here on the chart of the VIX, you can have multiple little spikes, but we can still have continuing price action to the upside. So definitely does not mean that we're going to collapse from current prices. And that's basically what they're highlighting here. I've talked about this a few times, referencing that 2018 to 2019 period, where you can see on the VIX, we basically stayed low for a very long time before we had that COVID spike. And we saw prices go higher during that period over a longer time frame. And what they're saying here is basically that can go on for a while. We don't know for a fact when the VIX is going to kick up, and it can stay below 14 for an extended period of time. And usually during those periods, we see the market going higher. Moving over to earnings, American Express missed on the top line, beat on the bottom. SLB did okay, missed on the top. The same as American Express, overall not bad for earnings. Moving over to max pain, you can see we finished right at 452, which is right here, right at the top of this first put wall. Makes sense. We didn't finish at the top of the puts like we had been, so we didn't get that extended rally up into that 460 zone. We also have that 459 call wall here. So we're stuck in between these levels now, and next week we should have much less options in the market, and that's probably going to allow markets to move lower in my opinion. Less aggressive finish, indicating some weakness in the market. Moving over to the charts here, looking at the SPY on the hour and the daily. You can see hourly really choppy, but we ended up below all of the EMAs and SMAs at the close. We're right at this low from yesterday. If this breaks down here, looking at 448.74, you also have the 144 EMA sitting at 449.69. Does not look great on the hourly chart. Looking at the daily, we have that 9 EMA sitting at 450.21. Could absolutely find support there, as well as this trend line. Momentum pulling back, volume also bearish. Certainly interesting to see here, and it does seem like we're going to get a little bit more pullback on Monday. Similarly here on the Qs, we have the 15-minute and the 4-hour. You can see this down move that we've had over the last 3 days. Slightly bearish on the day. You can see what that looked like. We're stuck at the 55 EMA on the 4-hour chart, sitting at 374.65. If that level breaks, then we have a lot of downside potential. A couple of horizontal levels of support, but the 144 EMA is sitting down at 365.68 on the 4-hour chart. So very, very important level. Could absolutely double top. So if we held this zone, topped out back in this area up around 386, and then had the bigger move down, that could be quite bearish. We also saw a little bit of cooling in momentum. Definitely interesting. We're still below all the EMAs and SMAs on the shorter time frames, so still bearish, at least in the short term. But if we start to see a little bit of a rally and a pop above 376.45, you could certainly start to use that as a potential area for support, looking for that trade up to 381.90. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow, similar thesis to the NASDAQ. We're below the shorter term EMAs. Certainly could pull back a little bit more. 55 EMA sitting down at 190.76. And this looks weaker, making some more lows. You really want to see this get above 195.15 if you're going to have another bullish push. But right now we're still bearish, at least in the shorter term. Longer term, it's still a bullish trend, but we're looking at a bit of a pullback. Dow continues to chop in this level, not giving any clear direction. Momentum and RSI are saying more bearish, so you could look for a bit of a pullback, but price action is not really telling you one way or the other quite yet. Moving over to Apple and Tesla. Apple pulling back to the 55 EMA. We have now completed that divergence. You can see we had the high going back to the end of January. We had a higher high, lower RSI, pulling back, momentum bearish. If this breaks the 55 EMA, we could be looking for a push back into this mid zone, and then that'll look a lot like a kind of offset double top. But we'll see what that looks like. Still looks a little bit more bearish. Clear resistance at 193.96, just barely below that, looking for a push down to 186.81. Tesla basically unchanged on the day. We had 3 very bearish candles in a row on the 8-hour. Then we had 2 sideways candles, bearish momentum, bearish RSI. We're below my 264.68 level, so everything is still bearish here, below all its shorter term EMAs. If this is going to break down, it's probably going to do it pretty soon. Looking at that highly traded zone for support right now, 256.86. If that level breaks, then 232.84 is the next one that I will be watching for. Moving over to staples and discretionary, no change to the thesis. Staples going higher, discretionary pulling back. We are rotating into defensives, preparing for a bigger pullback in my opinion. Moving over to breadth, it is worth highlighting that breadth continues to go higher, which is crazy. We have the markets going lower and breadth going higher. Definitely interesting to see this, and we'll have to continue to pay attention to it. You can see the 200 sitting at resistance, might hit that 76.04 on Monday or Tuesday, and then we get that final rejection. Definitely interesting. 50-day average basically went sideways on the day. We're at support here, and if this starts to break down going into Monday and Tuesday, that could be a pretty big indicator that we're going to be going lower pretty soon. Moving over to the dollar, we hit my price target. Now the question is, what is going to happen here? Momentum is still moving up pretty strongly. RSI starting to get overbought here on the 4-hour chart. Definitely interesting to watch at this level. If we break down, I'm looking for a lower low or at least a double tap of this previous low. If it breaks out here, we're looking at the 21 EMA on the daily chart at 101.82. For the 4-hour chart, we have the 144 sitting at 101.89. So right in that same zone. Moving over to the volatility indices, not much to say here. VIX continues to hold in this area. We moved lower on the day, even though the market went lower a little bit. Bond volatility also holding in this same zone. Moving over to my accounts, I ended up making about $120, which is not bad. The NASDAQ was down about 0.33%, so it's nice to see a little bit of a profit there. I had calls going into the day, and those all worked out. I tried to establish a covered call position once we saw a little bit of a rally in the midday, but it ended up breaking back down, so I sold those shares, and then I held on to the calls here, and you can see those are all in profit right now, so continuing to protect myself to the downside. Everything looks a little bit bearish, and then I ended up getting assigned on those 196 puts here on the IWM, and I sold a 195 call. The mistake I made here is that I did not roll out this 195 call on the other shares that I had. I definitely should have put one on for Monday. That was a mistake. Overall, ended up making just a little bit of money in that account, but definitely should have had a call on for Monday. Overall, bearish on the Qs, slightly bearish, neutral to bearish on the IWM. Let me know down in the comment section if you think we're going to see a more substantial pullback or if this is just going to be another shorter term pullback. Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.